if someone only reaches out when they need something from you, if they fall silent the very moment you celebrate a victory, if they blame you for their own failures, you are not imagining it. That is not friendship. That is concealed animosity, hidden hatred, wearing the mask of connection. And I am about to give you the precise 6-point understanding that Jewish sages have carried for thousands of years to identify those who poison the well before they contaminate your entire existence. By the end of this teaching, you will finally have a name for what your soul has been whispering to you all along. But before we begin this journey together, I need you to do something important. If this message resonates with your spirit, if you sense that someone in your life is showing you these signs, I want you to type the Hebrew word emet in the comments below. Emet means truth. By writing this word, you are declaring that you are ready to see the truth, however uncomfortable it may be. And as you do this, subscribe to this channel and press the like button, because in doing so, you are accepting the blessing of clarity into your life. You are saying yes to wisdom. You are opening the door for discernment to enter. Now let us continue. There is an ancient teaching in our tradition that speaks of a fire that burns without flame, not the warm fire of the hearth that brings families together on cold nights, not the purifying fire that refines gold and removes impurities, but a cold fire, a fire of ice, a fire that burns without flame, a fire that freezes rather than warms, that hardens rather than softens, that destroys silently from within. This is the fire of concealed hatred. And the sages warn us that this form of animosity is among the most dangerous forces that exist in human relationships, because it does not announce itself with shouting or open conflict. It does not give you the dignity of a clear enemy you can face directly. Instead, it wears a smile. It speaks pleasant words. It sits at your table. It knows your secrets. And all the while, beneath the surface, it works to diminish you, to drain you, to slowly poison the atmosphere around you until you begin to doubt your own perception of reality. I have lived 83 years on this earth. I have studied the Torah, the Talmud, the Kabbalah for more than 6 decades. I have sat with thousands of souls who came to me, confused, hurt, unable to understand why certain relationships in their lives felt wrong, even when nothing overtly terrible was happening. And what I discovered, what the ancient wisdom teaches us, is that hidden hatred leaves specific traces, specific patterns, specific signs that once you learn to recognize them, become impossible to unsee. Today I am going to share with you 6 of these signs, not so you can live in fear, not so you can become suspicious of everyone around you, but so you can protect the sacred vessel of your soul, so you can guard your peace, so you can discern between someone who is simply going through a difficult season and someone whose very nature is to resent your light. The first sign is this: they show interest only when it serves them. In Hebrew, we have an expression, shaver shel lechem, a friend of bread. This describes someone who sits with you only when there is food on the table, when you have something to offer, when you can be useful, when you can be consumed. Pay attention to this pattern carefully. The person who carries hidden hatred towards you will not reach out to ask how your heart is doing. They will not call simply to hear the sound of your voice. They will not appear during your quiet days when nothing dramatic is happening and you simply need companionship. They will not remember you on the anniversaries that matter to you, the birthdays, the moments of personal significance. But the instant they need something, a favor, money, a connection to someone you know, access to your resources, help with a problem they have created for themselves, suddenly they remember your name. Suddenly the phone rings. Suddenly the messages flow with warmth and affection that feels strangely disproportionate to the months or years of silence that preceded it. And here is the most painful part. Once they have extracted what they needed, once you have served your purpose, they vanish again like morning mist. Your messages go unanswered, even though you can see they have been read. Plans you made together are forgotten or dismissed. Questions you ask about their life receive one-word answers devoid of genuine engagement. You are no longer a person to them. You are a resource, a tool, an object to be retrieved from the shelf when needed and returned to the darkness when the task is complete. This is not love. This is not even basic human respect. And beneath this pattern of use and discard, there always lives a deep current of contempt, because the person who truly values you, who genuinely cares for your existence, honors your time, your energy, your full humanity, not just your utility in moments of their need. The Talmud teaches us something profound. It says that your neighbor is like an entire world, complete, complex, deserving of dignity. When someone approaches you only with the question, "What can you do for me?" they are not seeing you as a world. They are seeing you as a tool in their world. And this reduction of your being, this refusal to honor your wholeness, is one of the clearest signs of hidden animosity. Now, how do most people respond to this pattern? They continue giving. They continue helping. They continue hoping that one day, perhaps, this person will change. That one day, the reciprocity will come. That one day, they will be valued for who they are, not just for what they provide. But hope without discernment is not faith. It is self-abandonment. And the wise person, the person who values their own soul, learns to see the pattern and step back from it with love for themselves. The second sign that someone harbors secret hatred toward you is this. They praise you, but the praise carries a hidden blade. Listen carefully to this, because it is subtle and many people miss it entirely. This person will compliment you. They will say nice things. But woven into every compliment is a small poison, a backhanded remark, a comparison that elevates someone else while appearing to lift you. A subtle reminder of your flaws packaged as encouragement. For example, they might say, "You look so good today. You should dress like this more often." On the surface, it sounds like a compliment, but hidden within it is the message that usually you do not look good, that your normal state is lacking, that you need their approval and guidance to be acceptable. Or they might say, "I am so proud of you for finally achieving this. I was starting to worry it would never happen." Again, it appears supportive, but the underlying message is that they had doubts about your capability, that your success surprised them because they expected failure, that they were watching you with skepticism, not genuine belief. Or perhaps they say, "You are doing well, but you know Sarah just got promoted to an even higher position." Lie. They frame it as sharing information as casual conversation. But why mention Sarah at all in the moment of your achievement? The purpose is to diminish your joy, to ensure that you cannot fully celebrate without immediately comparing yourself to someone else and feeling inadequate. This is what the sages called lashon hara, with honey. Evil speech is sweetened just enough that it can enter your system without your defenses rising. Because if they insulted you directly, you would recognize the attack and protect yourself. But when the insult is wrapped in the appearance of care and the tone of helpfulness, it bypasses your awareness and goes straight to your heart-planting seeds of doubt and insecurity. I once counseled a woman named Miriam. She came to me in tears, unable to understand why she felt terrible after every conversation with her sister-in-law, even though the woman never said anything overtly cruel. When we examined the pattern together, Miriam began to see it. Every compliment came with a comparison. Every encouragement came with a reminder of past failures. Every expression of support was followed by subtle advice that implied Miriam did not really know what she was doing. The sister-in-law was not celebrating Miriam. She was tolerating her. And hidden in that tolerance was a deep well of resentment that leaked out in these small poisonous doses. If you notice this pattern consistently in someone, if their words leave you feeling smaller rather than larger, more confused rather than more confident, more anxious rather than more peaceful. Your soul is trying to tell you something. Listen to it. The third sign is this: they become silent when you succeed. This is perhaps one of the most revealing indicators of hidden hatred, and it cuts deeply because it happens precisely in the moments when you most need celebration and support. Pay attention to what happens when something good occurs in your life, when you receive a promotion, when you accomplish a goal you have been working toward for years, when you share news of an engagement, a graduation, a creative achievement, a financial breakthrough, any moment of genuine triumph. How does this person respond? If they carry hidden animosity, their response will be noticeably muted, almost silent, while others are congratulating you with warmth and genuine happiness. This person offers the bare minimum, a single word. Congratulations, flat, without enthusiasm, without follow-up questions, without any desire to hear the details or share in your joy. Or worse, they change the subject immediately. You share your good news, and within seconds, they are talking about something entirely unrelated, as if you had just commented on the weather rather than shared a significant life event. They cannot bear to let the spotlight remain on your success for even a moment, or they disappear entirely. They see your announcement, and they simply do not respond at all. Days pass, weeks pass, and the silence speaks louder than any words could. Because silence in the face of someone's joy is not neutrality. It is a statement. It says, your happiness makes me uncomfortable. Your growth threatens something in me. Your light reveals the shadows I am hiding from. The sages teach us that when the righteous succeed, the whole community should rejoice, because the elevation of one is the elevation of all. When a candle is lit, it does not diminish other candles. It adds to the light in the room. But the person who hates you in secret does not see it this way. They see your success as their loss, your gain as their deficit, your joy as a judgment against them. I remember a young man named David who came to me troubled. He had just published his first book, a dream he had carried for a decade. His friends threw him a small celebration. His family sent messages of pride and excitement. But his childhood friend, someone he had known for 25 years, said nothing. Not a word, not a message, not even a brief acknowledgement. David kept making excuses. Perhaps the friend was busy. Perhaps he did not see the announcement. Perhaps he was going through something difficult and could not engage. But when we looked at the pattern over the years, it became clear. Every time David achieved something, this friend went quiet. And in his quietness, he was shouting a truth he would never speak aloud. He resented David's progress. He could not celebrate it because it reminded him of his own stagnation. If someone consistently cannot be happy for you, if your victories create their withdrawal, you are not dealing with a friend who is temporarily distracted. You are dealing with someone whose ego is threatened by your existence, and that is the soil in which hidden hatred grows. The fourth sign is this: they blame you for their own mistakes. This is a particularly insidious pattern because it inverts reality so completely that you can begin to question your own memory and judgment. Watch what happens when this person makes an error, faces a consequence of their own choices, or encounters a difficulty they created for themselves. Instead of taking responsibility, instead of acknowledging their part in the situation, they find a way to make it your fault. Perhaps they missed an important deadline because they procrastinated, but they blame you for not reminding them, even though it was never your responsibility to manage their schedule. Perhaps they made a poor financial decision and lost money, but they claim it was because you gave them bad advice, even though you never advised them at all, or they did the opposite of what you suggested. Perhaps they damaged a relationship through their own behavior, but they accuse you of turning people against them, of speaking badly about them, of sabotaging them behind their back. This blame shifting serves two purposes for them. First, it protects their fragile ego from having to confront their own failures and weaknesses. And second, it keeps you destabilized, always defending yourself, always trying to prove your innocence, always walking on eggshells to avoid being accused of causing their next problem. In the Talmud, there is a teaching about the person who casts their sins onto others. It says such a person is like someone trying to clean their house by throwing the dirt into their neighbor's courtyard. The house may appear clean temporarily, but the filth has not been transformed, only relocated. And eventually, the wind will blow it back. When someone habitually blames you for outcomes they created, when they refuse to look at their own reflection in the mirror of consequences, when they need you to be the villain in every story so they can remain innocent in their own eyes, hidden hatred is at work. Because to truly love someone, to truly respect someone, you must be willing to see them clearly and honestly. And you cannot see someone clearly if you are constantly using them as a repository for your own shame and failure. I counseled a man named Levi who worked with his brother in a family business. Every time the brother made a business decision that failed, every time a client left, every time revenue declined, somehow it became Levi's fault. Even when Levi was following the brother's direct instructions, even when Levi had warned against the very action that led to the problem, the brother's need to protect his self-image was so strong that reality itself had to be rewritten, and Levi became the scapegoat upon which all failures were placed. This is not a relationship. This is a hostage situation, and the person who loves you does not take you hostage. They set you free to be honest, to be human, to make mistakes without being crucified for them, and they extend to you the same grace they wish to receive for themselves. The fifth sign is this: they remember you exist only when they need to complain. Have you ever noticed that some people reach out to you exclusively when something is wrong in their life? When they need to vent, when they need someone to absorb their negativity, when they need a dumping ground for their frustrations, their criticisms, their bitter observations about the world. They do not call you to share good news. They do not message you to tell you about something beautiful they witnessed or a moment of gratitude they experienced. They do not invite you to celebrate with them. But the moment they are angry at someone, the moment they feel mistreated, the moment they want to rehearse their grievances, suddenly you receive the notification. And here is the subtle cruelty embedded in this pattern. They are using you as an emotional trash bin. They are treating your time, your energy, your mental and emotional space as if it exists solely for their convenience. They are not interested in your life. They do not ask how you are truly doing. They do not listen when you try to share your own struggles, but they expect you to be endlessly available for theirs. This is what the sages called the taker without gratitude, and it reveals a fundamental lack of respect, because in their eyes, you are not a person with your own inner world that deserves attention and care. You are a function, a service, a release valve for pressure they do not want to deal with constructively. I knew a woman named Rachel who had a friend like this. The friend would call at all hours when she was upset about something. She would talk for an hour, sometimes two, pouring out complaint after complaint. But when Rachel tried to share something from her own life, the friend would suddenly have to go. Suddenly she was tired. Suddenly she had another call coming in. The dynamic was entirely one-directional. And over time, Rachel began to feel drained, resentful, used. When she finally set a boundary, when she gently said she could not be available at all hours for these venting sessions, the friend became angry. She accused Rachel of not caring, of being selfish, of abandoning her in her time of need. And this reaction itself was the final confirmation. Because a true friend understands that friendship is reciprocal. A true friend respects your limits. A true friend does not weaponize your kindness against you, but the person who carries hidden hatred sees your boundaries as betrayal because they never valued you as an equal to begin with. They valued you as a resource, and resources are not supposed to have needs or limits of their own. The sixth and final sign is this: their words and their actions never align. This is the pattern that creates the most confusion because it forces you to choose between believing what someone says and believing what someone does. And your mind wants to believe the words because words are easier to process, easier to hold on to, easier to use as evidence that things are okay. But your soul knows the truth. Your soul reads the actions, and the dissonance between the two creates a constant low-level anxiety that you cannot quite name. This person will tell you they care about you deeply, but when you need them, they are unavailable. They will say you are important to them, but they never make time for you unless it is convenient for them. They will claim they support your dreams, but they never ask about your progress or celebrate your milestones. They will insist they value honesty, but they hide things from you, tell half-truths, present carefully edited versions of reality. The gap between their declarations and their demonstrations is the space where hidden hatred lives. The Torah teaches us a fundamental principle. You shall know them by their fruits, not by their flowers, not by their fragrance, not by the beauty of their leaves, but by what they produce, by what they actually give to the world, by the tangible evidence of their nature made manifest through action over time. Words are cheap. Words cost nothing. Words can be manufactured to suit any situation, but actions require commitment. Actions require sacrifice. Actions reveal what someone truly values when no one is watching, when there is no audience to perform for, when the only witness is their own conscience. I once counseled a couple where the husband repeatedly told his wife he loved her, but he never followed through on promises. He said he would attend important events and then canceled at the last minute. He claimed she was his priority, but spent all his free time with friends. He insisted he wanted to build a future together, but made no concrete plans and took no concrete steps. The wife was caught in agony, trying to reconcile the loving words with the neglectful actions. And I had to tell her what the sages would tell her. When words and actions conflict, always believe the actions. Because actions are the truth the body cannot lie about. Actions are the revelation of what someone truly believes and values when the performance is stripped away. If someone's pattern shows inconsistency between what they claim and what they demonstrate, if you find yourself constantly confused about where you stand with them, if you feel like you are holding on to words while drowning in the absence of corresponding deeds, you're in the presence of hidden hatred, because love is not a speech. Love is a series of choices made consistently over time. And where those choices are absent, so is the love, no matter what the mouth declares. Now let me tell you something crucial before we close this teaching. This message is not meant to make you afraid. It is not meant to turn you into someone who suspects everyone and trusts no one. It is not meant to cause you to cut off relationships impulsively or harshly. There's a profound difference between someone who is going through a temporary difficult season and someone who consistently, over months and years, demonstrates these patterns of hidden hatred. A true friend who is struggling may be distant for a time. They may be less available. They may be quieter than usual. But when you reach out with concern, when you ask, what is happening? They will open their heart to you. They will explain. They will ask for space if they need it, but they will do so with respect for the relationship. And when they emerge from their difficulty, they will return. They will reconnect. They will resume the reciprocity that characterized the friendship before. But someone who hates you in secret never opens, never explains, never acknowledges the distance. And when things improve in their life, they do not return to restore the relationship. They either remain distant or they return only to repeat the same harmful cycles. The key is in the consistency of the pattern. One isolated incident may be a misunderstanding. A single moment of silence may be distraction. A lone complaint may be a bad day. But when you see 3, 4, 5, 6 of these signs occurring repeatedly over an extended period, you are not being paranoid. You are not being oversensitive. You are not imagining problems. You are seeing truth that your heart has been trying to show you, but your mind has been reluctant to accept. In our tradition, there is a concept called lashon hara, which means evil speech. It refers to speaking badly about someone, spreading gossip, damaging reputations with words. And it is considered one of the gravest transgressions because it destroys relationships, tears apart communities, and causes irreparable harm. But what many do not realize is that lashon hara can be completely silent. There are people who never speak a word against you publicly, but they treat you with coldness, with dismissiveness, with contempt. They do not slander you with their tongue. They slander you with their indifference, with their absence, with their refusal to honor your humanity. And this silent hatred, according to the sages, is equally destructive because it poisons the atmosphere, creates tension you cannot name, and steals your peace without giving you any clear enemy to confront. This is why it is so important to learn to see these signs. Because hidden hatred does not always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it just stares coldly. Sometimes it simply stays silent when it should speak, but your soul feels it regardless. And when your soul tells you persistently that something is wrong, that something does not feel right, you must trust that knowing. So, what do? If you have recognized someone in your life through these 6 signs, what is the wise response? First, breathe. Do not react impulsively. Do not confront in anger. Do not create unnecessary drama or conflict. Simply acknowledge to yourself what you have seen. Give yourself permission to trust your perceptions. Validate your own feelings. Second, protect yourself. Begin to create healthy distance. Begin to reduce the emotional investment you have in this relationship. Not from a place of bitterness or revenge, but from a place of self-love and self-care. You are not obligated to remain close to people who diminish you, who resent your growth, who cannot celebrate your joy, who use you for their convenience. Third, surround yourself with light. Seek out people who genuinely celebrate your victories, who support your growth, who are consistent in word and deed, who reciprocate your care and attention. These people exist. They are abundant, and they deserve your time, your energy, your love, far more than those who harbor hidden animosity. And finally, forgive, not for their sake, but for yours. Forgiveness does not mean pretending nothing happened. It does not mean allowing the behavior to continue. It does not mean returning to a harmful dynamic. Forgiveness means releasing the poison from your own heart so it does not corrode your peace. It means choosing not to carry the weight of their brokenness on your shoulders. It means setting yourself free from the need for them to change or acknowledge or apologize. You cannot control whether someone chooses to hate you. You cannot force someone to see your value. You cannot make someone become who you need them to be, but you can control how much access they have to your inner world. You can control how much power you give their opinions. You can control whether you stay in a relationship that drains you or whether you honor yourself enough to walk away. Your soul is sacred. Your peace is precious. Your dignity is non-negotiable. And the wisdom of our sages carried across thousands of years is clear on this point. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not required to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You are not required to accept crumbs of affection from people who should be offering you a feast of genuine love. If this teaching has opened your eyes, if you have recognized patterns you could not name before, if you feel both the pain of acknowledgement and the relief of clarity, know that you are not alone. Thousands before you have walked this path. Thousands have learned to see what was hidden. Thousands have chosen to protect their peace and reclaim their power. And as you move forward from this moment, I want you to remember one final teaching from our tradition. The wise person sees what is hidden while it is still small. They see the smoke before it becomes a consuming fire. They recognize danger while there is still time to step back, to protect themselves, to choose a different path. You have seen the smoke. You have named the patterns. Now you have the choice. Will you stay and wait for the fire to consume you? Or will you honor the wisdom your soul has been whispering and create the distance necessary to preserve your peace? The choice is always yours, but now you make it with eyes wide open, with clarity, with truth. And that, my friend, is the beginning of true freedom. If this message resonated with you, if you found wisdom here that your soul needed to hear, share this teaching with someone who needs it, someone who is confused about their relationships, someone who is blaming themselves unjustly, someone who is enduring hidden hatred without even realizing it. This teaching could be the clarity they have been praying for. And tell me in the comments, which of these 6 signs did you recognize most clearly in your life? What will you do differently starting today? What boundary will you set this week to protect your sacred peace? May you walk in wisdom. May you be surrounded by those who truly see you and celebrate you. May you have the courage to release what no longer serves your highest good. And may your soul finally rest in the peace it has always deserved. Until we meet again in the next teaching, I bless you with clarity, with strength, and with the unshakable knowing that you are worthy of genuine love, not the counterfeit version that hidden hatred offers. Shalom.